So let us start with the prayers. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I have shared my screen. Hope it is visible. So we are going through the Bhagavad Gita. So right now we're in the introduction section. Almost more than 50% introduction we have finished. So we'll complete this introduction session probably in 1 or 2 sessions more. And after that, we'll go to the chapters, shloka by shloka. So we'll continue from where we have left in our last class. The Supreme Lord and his transcendental abode are both Sanatana, as are the living entities, and the combined association of the Supreme Lord and the living entities in the Sanatana abode is the perfection of human life. So here it talks about what is the perfection of human life. So human life perfection is when we can reach that Sanatana Dhama, or the transcendental abode of Krishna, and we being Sanatana or eternal go to the eternal world and engage in eternal activity with the eternal Lord. So that is considered as the perfection of human form of life. The Lord is very kind to the living entities because they are his sons. Lord Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Yonishu Aham Bija Pradah Pita. I am the father of all. Of course, there are all types of living entities according to their various karmas. But here the Lord claims that he is the father of all of them. Therefore, the Lord descends to reclaim all of these fallen conditioned souls to call them back to the Sanatana eternal sky, so that the Sanatana living entities may regain their eternal Sanatana position in eternal association with the Lord. The Lord comes himself in different incarnations, or he sends his confidential servants as sons or his associates or acharyas to reclaim the conditioned souls. So here, one of the qualities of Krishna, that he is very, very merciful. So that is described. And out of his compassion, he comes to this material world. And sometimes he also sends his confidential servants as the acharyas. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to um reclaim the fallen souls from this material world back to the spiritual world. So for that purpose, Krishna comes and also sends his representatives, sometimes as his sons or his servants or the acharyas. And Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the father of all living entities, not only in the human species, all other species, because the soul is the same, only it has got different outer coverings, which is this material body, according to its karma. And in the spiritual world, the soul will have its body, spiritual body, according to the relationship what he has got, the soul has got with Krishna. So in the material world, the body is according to our karma and our desires. So we get different kinds of body, which is not fixed. It keeps on changing one after the other. Life after life, we get different types of bodies, different kinds of enjoyments and sufferings in these bodies. But in the spiritual world, we get a fixed spiritual body according to our relationship with Krishna in one of the 5 different rasas, which was described earlier in the introduction part. Therefore, Sanatana Dharma does not refer to any sectarian process of religion. It is the eternal function of the eternal living entities in relationship with the eternal Supreme Lord. Sanatana Dharma refers, as stated previously, to the eternal occupation of the living entity Ramanujacharya has explained the word Sanatana as that which has neither beginning nor end. So, when we speak of Sanatana Dharma, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sri Ramanujacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. So, here the word Sanatana is being used multiple times. So, the living entity, that is also Sanatana or eternal, and the Supreme Lord Krishna, he is also Sanatana or eternal, and his abode, the spiritual world, that is also Sanatana or eternal. And now, what is Sanatana Dharma? So, Sanatana Dharma refers to that occupation which is eternal. So, the eternal occupation of the living entity is engaging in Krishna's service. And here, forgetting our relationship with Krishna, we are engaged in temporary activities based on what kind of bodies we have got and what kind of desires we have got. We engage in different kinds of activities and which end with the body. But Sanatana refers to that which has neither beginning nor end. The English word religion is a little different from Sanatana Dharma. Religion conveys the idea of faith, and faith may change. One may have faith in a particular process, and he may change his faith and adopt another. But Sanatana Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed. For instance, liquidity cannot be taken from water, nor can heat be taken from fire. Similarly, the eternal function of the living entity, of the eternal living entity, cannot be taken from the living entity. Sanatana Dharma is eternally integral with the living entity. When we speak of Sanatana Dharma, therefore, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sri Ramanujacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. That which has neither end nor beginning must not be sectarian, for it cannot be limited by any boundaries. Yet those belonging to some sectarian faith will wrongly consider that Sanatana Dharma is also sectarian. But if we go deeply into the matter and consider it in the light of modern science, it is possible for us to see that Sanatana Dharma is the business of all the people of the world, nay, of all the living entities of the universe. So here there is a comparison made between Sanatana Dharma and other religions. So generally, other religions, if we take, they have got some beginning and some end. All the religions in the world, if you see, so you can describe that this religion started on this day from this person. So this religion started on this day. So this was the founder of that. But if you take Sanatana Dharma, you cannot trace when this Sanatana Dharma started. So from scriptures, we get this information that it's a eternal occupation of the living entity. So the so-called Hindus, which at the present moment they call themselves as Hindus also, but original Sanatana Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed or which is the integral part of the living entity. Hare Krishna. Is it audible? Hare Krishna. Are you able
Yes,
to hear?
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Now it
Yes.
is audible.
Yes,
Audible,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
In between, it
Very clear.
was not audible.
Yeah, thank you. Suddenly there was some glitch. Okay. So, Sanatana Dharma, which we were discussing, that present moment, what the people living in India are called as the Hindus. But original Sanatana Dharma refers to, here Prabhupada is giving an example that how liquidity cannot be taken from water or heat cannot be taken from fire. So that which cannot be separated from the soul. So that is Sanatana Dharma. And that is the eternal nature of the living entity. And elsewhere we will find Prabhupada explains that eternal function of the soul, whether it is Indian, American, or Russian, Chinese, Pakistan, or even other living entities, the eternal occupation of every soul is to render service. That is the eternal occupation. So if we analyze ourselves also, all of us, we are giving service to someone or the other. Suppose I am a housewife, I am taking care of my family, cooking for them. So that way I'm rendering service to my family. So if I am a working man, or a working woman, then I am doing service to in my office, my customers I am serving, or I am serving my boss. Or if I'm a businessman, then I'm serving my customers. If I'm a teacher, I'm serving my students. So that way, if you analyze any person you pick in this whole world and you see what he's doing, and you will find that some way or other he is engaged in serving someone else. So this service is the eternal engagement of the living entity or the soul. Now, in this material world, we engage in service of so many different people, forgetting our relationship with Krishna. So serving is eternal, but when we come to this material world, instead of serving Krishna, we engage in service of so many other living entities, and that service has no connection with Krishna. So that is our material life. And when we understand our position as uh, eternal servant of Krishna, and we being eternal living entities, spirit soul. So that time we may continue to do the same activities, whatever we are doing, but our consciousness changes, and we start connecting Krishna in everything. So a person can remain whoever he is before and after, a housewife or a working woman or a working man or a businessman or some government employee or some simple laborer, whatever he is. So he can remain, but uh, it can be done in karma yoga way, where the fruit of the result is offered to Krishna. So that way all our activities get spiritualized. And further it can be more developed, where we also start engaging directly in serving Krishna in some way or the other by practicing the Bhakti Yoga process, the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. There are 9 ways with which we can engage in Krishna's service along with our all other daily activities. That is described by Krishna in the Bhakti Yoga chapter, I think 12th chapter. In the 12th chapter, that Krishna describes. So, but here we are understanding that what is Sanatana Dharma and what are sectarian religions. So, sectarian religion means it belongs to a particular sect, or it has got a beginning, or it may end after some time. But Sanatana Dharma is something which is the eternal occupation of the living entity. And originally, it is engaging in service of Krishna. That is the nature of the living entity. But when the living entity has forgotten its relationship with Krishna, then it may engage in so many different types of activities, either religious or irreligious. But the serving, that cannot be separated from the living entity. The living entity will always be serving someone or something, or the one or the other thing. The living entity will always be serving. So that is the nature of all the living entities. All of us, our nature is to render service. Non-Sanatana religious faith may have some beginning in the annals of human history, but there is no beginning to the history of Sanatana Dharma, because it remains eternally with the living entities. Insofar as the living entities are concerned, the authoritative Shastras state that the living entity has neither birth nor death. In the Gita, it is stated that the living entity is never born and he never dies. He is eternal and indestructible, and he continues to live after the destruction of temporary material body. In reference to the concept of Sanatana Dharma, we must try to understand the concept of religion from the Sanskrit root meaning of the word dharma. Dharma refers to that which is constantly existing with a particular object. We conclude that there is heat and light along with the fire. Without heat and light, there is no meaning to the word fire. Similarly, we must discover the essential part of the living being, that part which is his constant companion. That constant companion is his eternal quality, and that eternal quality is his eternal religion. So, the word dharma, Sanskrit word dharma, in English it is called religion, but that refers to, if you go in dictionary and find out what is religion, so the English dictionary will give the meaning that religion means a kind of faith. But if you refer to dharma, and in the Sanskrit, this word dharma refers to that which constantly existing with a particular object. Prabhupada gives example, just like salt is there. So what always exists with the salt is its salty nature. If you taste it, oh, we'll say that, oh, it is salty. So if you see some white powder, and if it is not tasting salty, then you say that, oh, this is not salt. This is looking like salt, but it is not salt. So salt means saltiness. So if the saltiness is not there in that object, although it is looking like that, then you say, no, no, it is not salt. Similarly, If you take sugar, so why it is called sugar? Because it is sweet. So if you take out that sweetness from that sugar, so that object will not be called, no longer be called as a sugar. So dharma means that which always exists with a particular object. So that is known as dharma. So what always remains or a constant companion of living entities. So we all are living entities. So what is our dharma? So what is always constant companion of us? So that is our real dharma. So that if we analyze, that we are always engaged in serving. When Sanatana Goswami asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the Swarupa of every living being, the Lord replied that the Swarupa or constitutional position of the living being is the rendering of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we analyze this statement of Lord Chaitanya, we can easily see that every living being is constantly engaged in rendering service to another living being. So the originally our constitutional position is to rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we analyze now, we see that we are always engaged in serving another living being. A living being serves another living beings in two capacities. By doing so, the living entities enjoys life. The lower animals serve human beings as servants serve their master. A serves B master, B serves C master, and C serves D master, and so on. Under these circumstances, we can see that one friend serves another friend. The mother serves the son, the wife serves the husband serves the wife, and so on. If we go on searching in this spirit, it will be seen that there is no exception in the society of living beings to the activity of service. The politician represents his manifesto for the public to convince them of his capacity for service. The voters therefore give the politicians their valuable votes, thinking that he will render valuable service to society. The shopkeeper serves the customer, and the artisan serves the capitalist. The capitalist serves the family, and the family serves the state in the terms of the eternal capacity of the eternal living being. In this way, we can see that no living being is exempt from rendering service to other living beings. And therefore, we can safely conclude that service is the constant companion of the living being, and that the rendering of service is the eternal religion of the living being. So it's very clearly explained. I don't think it requires any further explanation. We have discussed this also. So all of us, we are engaged in serving someone or the other. So we can safely call that also as stated by the Acharyas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself states that Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Our original position is rendering service to Krishna. So this rendering of service is the real Sanatana Dharma of the living entity. Yet, man professes to belong to a particular type of faith with reference to particular time and circumstances, and thus claims to be a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or any other sect. Such designations are non-Sanatana Dharma. A Hindu may change his faith to become a Muslim, or a Muslim may change his faith to become a Hindu, or a Christian may change his faith, and so on. But in all circumstances, the change of religious faith does not affect the eternal occupation of rendering service to others. The Hindu, Muslim, or Christian in all circumstances is servant of someone. Thus, to profess a particular type of sect is not to profess one's Sanatana Dharma. The rendering of service is Sanatana Dharma. So one may say that I am a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian, but we may see that we see in our day-to-day life also. Many times a Muslim is converted to Hindu, or a Hindu is converted to Christian, or a Christian becomes a Muslim. So then this faith, whatever one is professing that I belong to this particular faith, we cannot call this as a eternal religion. So what is the eternal religion? Either one is Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or Buddhist, or atheist. Doesn't matter what he is, but always he is engaged in serving others. So that way, the Sanatana Dharma of living entity is rendering of service. Factually, we are related to the Supreme Lord in service. The Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer, and we living entities are his servitors. We are created for his enjoyment, and if we participate in that eternal enjoyment with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we become happy. We cannot become happy otherwise. It is not possible to be happy independently. Just as no one part of the body can be happy without cooperating with the stomach. It is not possible for the living entity to be happy without rendering transcendental loving service unto the Supreme Lord. So, what is the original position? Original position is that we must be engaging in service of Krishna. And when we say service, we may have some material conception, because here the service is not very pleasing. Somebody has to work under somebody, then it is not a very pleasing thing. He may not be doing it very heartfully or lovingly, because the relationship is not based on love. So sometimes it is transactional. I'm working in the office. So I may like my boss or I may not like my boss, but if I don't work, I'll not get salary. So therefore, I have to do the service. So here the service is not on the platform of love. So we may have the idea of service means something which is done forcefully or without heart or without our liking. But in the spiritual world, this service, the foundation of rendering service, is on the basis of love. And this love is exhibited in different relationship, like a servant and master, a friend and friend, or parental relationship, where there are many living entities who are having parental affection for Krishna, who treat Krishna as their son and serve him as a father and mother. And also there is a rendering of service in conjugal relationship. There are different Lakshmis who are consorts of many manifestations or expansion of Krishna. And also there are the gopis who are also the expansions of internal energy of Krishna, and they all engage in Krishna's service out of love without any force, and Krishna also reciprocates their service accordingly. So that is a happy situation where out of love we are engaged in Krishna's service, and the more we serve Krishna, we become happy. So that is our natural position. And we can see in this world also that example, that how a mother does so much of service to a small baby or child. Even if they are grown up also, the mother is always anxious to serve their children. And so the mother never feels burdened, or doesn't expect that in the future, sometimes it may be there, but in the material world, uh, we cannot say that it is 100% pure, but close to that we can see how a mother loves their children. So without any expectation, many times we see that mother is engaged in serving their children. Although there will be some material changes will be there, this world is not spiritual world, and purity will not be there. But we can get some example of how one can be happily doing service by looking at the example of how a mother serves the child. So she takes pleasure in bathing the child or cooking for the child. So like that. So the same way in each rasa, when there is love, the living entity, the spirit soul, takes pleasure in serving Krishna according to their particular relationship with Krishna. So that is the happy situation of the living entity. And in the material world, the living entity, based on its karma, is forced to render service, because that is a natural position. One may like or may not like. According to karma, one person may be in a higher position, another person may be in a lower position. And the living entities are forced to serve here under illusion. And sometimes they serve their own senses also under illusion, thinking that I am this body. And they serve all the bodily demands. Whatever body demands, they go on serving that, thinking that, okay, I am this body. So the living entities are always engaged in some or the other kind of service, but the service in the material world is not very pleasurable. It ultimately ends in frustration. But service on the spiritual platform, it is always a source of happiness and source of enjoyment. In the Bhagavad Gita, worship of different demigods or rendering service to them is not approved. It is stated in the 7th chapter, 20th verse, Kamaistaiste hritajnana prapadyante anya devataha tam tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. So here Prabhupada is bringing another topic of devata worship, demigod worship, which we see especially amongst the Hindus. So there are many devatas. They are called demigods, and we see in our families, in our society, everybody is engaged in worshipping of different kinds of devatas. And what is the purpose, motive behind that worship? Oh, if you go and worship this particular devata, you will get this. Oh, you have this problem, then you go and do this, you will get a solution. So this kind of serving the demigods and these kind of services are not on the platform of love. Only as long as I have some requirement, I will go there. And if my requirement is not getting fulfilled, then I may switch over to somebody else. Oh, here I'm not getting my solution. Leave this and go somewhere else. Somebody said, no, you will get that. You go to that particular temple, that particular place. So there is no attachment to the deity for which they are offering their worship. So they are doing it just for satisfying their own desires. But in worship of Krishna, on the pure platform, it is not like that. Although there are many people who also come to Krishna with these kind of intentions, but the pure devotional service is not for getting any material benefits from Krishna. It is only for Krishna's satisfaction. And worship of all these different Devi Devatas is not approved by Krishna in the 7th chapter. So there Krishna describes that what are the people, what kind of people they surrender to the devatas. Prapadyante anya devataha. Kamaistaiste hritagnyana. So hritagnyana means their intelligence is stolen away or intelligence is lost. So they have become fools. And why they have become fools, why their intelligence is lost? Because of their desires, because of their lusty desires, different desires to enjoy in this material world. So kamaistair hritagnyana prapadyanti anya devata. Tam tam niyamam asthaya prakritya nyata swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. Here it is plainly said that those who are directed by lust worship the demigods and not the Supreme Lord Krishna. When we mention the name Krishna, we do not refer to any sectarian name. Krishna means the highest pleasure, and it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is the reservoir or storehouse of all pleasure. We are all hankering after pleasure, Anandamayo Bhyasat. The living entities, like the Lord, are full of consciousness and they are after happiness. The Lord is perpetually happy, and if the living entities associate with the Lord, cooperate with Him, and take part in His association, then they also become happy. So Krishna condemns the worship of different devatas, and later we see that ultimately whatever reward they get from all these different devatas is given by me only. In Bhagavad Gita, we will see Krishna says that ultimately whatever result they get, it is given by me only. And also, if we study the different Shastras and Vedic literature, and even in Bhagavad Gita, we come to know that all these devatas, they are all representatives of uh, not representative, they are like different administrators of different departments within this universe who are endowed with certain powers. Just like government has got different departments, some department takes care of water, electricity, some department takes care of making roads. Like that, there are different departments are there. So same way, different living entities who had the desire to have such position, such power, by performing pious activities, they can raise to that platform of becoming a devata, the residents of heavenly planets. And also some of them, they get this position of Indra, Chandra, Surya, or different devatas. And they have also Krishna has given them certain powers according to position. Just like if somebody becomes a home minister or a chief minister or a finance minister, he has got certain powers, certain facilities. So the same way, these devatas also, because of attaining that position of a particular demigod or a devata, they also have got certain powers with which they can actually fulfill some of the desires of those who worship them. But ultimately, all these powers to them are given by Krishna only. And Krishna is living in everybody's heart, even the heart of that devata also Krishna is living as Paramatma. So all that they reward to their worshippers is ultimately given by Krishna only. And Bhagavatam describes that akama sarva kamo va moksha kamo udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. So either you are full of material desires, or you are no desires, or you just want to serve Krishna, or you want liberation. Whatever is there, you should just approach Krishna only, no other devata or demigods. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. So one has to worship the Parama Purusha Krishna. and how through the Bhakti Yoga, with great intensity, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, there is no need of surrendering to any Devata or any demigod. And when we come in touch with Krishna, render service to Krishna, as Krishna is all bliss and he is the reservoir of all pleasure, all happiness. Suppose you are very thirsty and you go to one big lake or big river with sweet water, then you can drink as much water as you want. So it is a reservoir of water, sweet water. So same way, Krishna is um, reservoir or a storehouse of all pleasure, all happiness. So we can derive unlimited happiness, unlimited pleasure from Krishna with the service attitude, not with the um, exploiting or fulfilling our material desires, but spiritual desires on the platform of love. Krishna can make us unlimitedly happy. The Lord descends into this mortal world to show his pastimes in Vrindavan. So here, why Krishna comes to this material world from the spiritual world, that is described. So mainly he comes to display his pastimes in Vrindavan. So when Krishna comes, he performs pastimes of Mathura, Vrindavan, and Dwarka, three different places. And specifically, Krishna comes to show the pastimes of Vrindavan, which are full of happiness. When Lord Sri Krishna was in Vrindavan, his activities with his covered boyfriends, with his damsel friends, and with the inhabitants of Vrindavan and with the cows were all full of happiness. The total population of Vrindavan knew nothing but Krishna. But Lord Krishna even discouraged his father Nanda Maharaj from worshipping the demigod Indra because he wanted to establish the fact that people need not worship any demigod. They need only worship the Supreme Lord because their ultimate goal is to return to his abode. So even Krishna, when he was present, Nanda Maharaj, his father, used to perform one yearly yajna for Indra so that they may get sufficient quantity of rains. So they were agriculturalists. So they were Vaishyas. They were dependent on agriculture and cow protection. And rain is very important. Without rain, there cannot be agriculture. And Indra is the controller of rains. He is the department in charge of supplying the necessity of living entities, whatever water they need in the form of rain. So Indra controls the clouds and the rains. And they used to worship Indra by every year by performing a Indra Yajna. And when Krishna came to know when he was about 7 years old that they are performing some yajna for Indra for satisfying him so that he can supply rains. So Krishna immediately asks his father not to worship Indra. There is no need of worshipping Indra. So Krishna discouraged any kind of demigod worship. So one need only worship the Supreme Lord because our ultimate goal is not to settle here. That is not possible also. Our ultimate goal is to go back to the spiritual world, the abode of Krishna. So we need not try to make plans of settling here comfortably. Whatever we do, any amount of devata worship we do and get lot of prosperity or wealth or whatever, we cannot live here permanently. We have to leave this place and again go to our next body. According to our karma, we get good body or bad body, good place or a bad place. So this is not the place for settlement. This is a place where we can purify ourselves and develop our love for Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. So when that is the goal, we should not be carried away by some temporary benefits, some temporary allurements, and engage in worship of different Devi Devatas. So only we should worship Krishna with the goal of going back to the spiritual world. The abode of Lord Sri Krishna is described in the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 6th verse. Natad bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in the different places also describes about his abode, the spiritual world. And this is the shloka where Krishna is describing the abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. And anyone who reaches it never comes back to this material world. So in the spiritual world, it is self-effulgent. There is no need of sun or moon or any kind of electricity. So this material world is a dark world. So always there is need of either sun should be there or moon should be there or some electricity should be there. And electricity again, if you trace back the ultimate source of all energy in our planet is it comes from the sun. So without sun, there can be no life on the earth. But spiritual world is not dependent on any external objects like sun or moon or electricity. It is self-effulgent. This verse gives a description of that eternal sky. Of course, we have a material conception of the sky, and we think of it in relationship to the sun, moon, stars, and so on. But in this verse, the Lord states that in the eternal sky, there is no need for the sun, nor for the moon, nor fire of any kind, because the spiritual sky is already illuminated by the Brahma Jyoti, the rays emanating from the Supreme Lord. We are trying with difficulty to reach other planets, but it is not difficult to understand the abode of the Supreme Lord. This abode is referred to as Goloka. In the Brahma Samhita, it is beautifully described. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhutaha. The Lord resides eternally in his abode, Goloka, yet he can be approached from this world. And to this end, the Lord comes to manifest his real form, Sachidananda Vigraha. When he manifests this form, there is no need for our imagining what he looks like. To discourage such imaginative speculation, he descends and exhibits himself as he is, as Shamasundara. Unfortunately, the less intelligent deride him because he comes as one of us and plays with us as a human being. But because of this, we should not consider that the Lord is one of us. It is by his potency that he presents himself in his real form before us and displays his pastimes, which are prototypes of those pastimes found in his abode. So, Brahma Samhita, this is a Vedic literature which is spoken by Brahma uh, after his self realization. He gets the uh, darshan of the spiritual world. He sees Krishna, and after that, he describes how Krishna looks, what is his abode, what he is engaged in. So, this wonderful Brahma Samhita literature is there, and we chant it every day also, few slokas during the morning darshan arati. And in that, there is a description of the spiritual world, how Krishna looks. And this Brahma Samhita was spoken in the beginning of creation. Brahma, at the beginning of creation, the firstborn, and he was engaged in austerities. And he gets self realization and he sees the spiritual world and describes Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. And how Krishna looks like Venum Kondontam, he's holding a flute in his hand. Aravinda Dalaya Taksham, his eyes are just like petals of the lotus flower. Barhava Tamsam, he is having a peacock feather on his head. Asita Ambuda Sundarangam, his body is like a rain bearing cloud. That is the color. And his activities also described. So Brahma has described it at the beginning of creation. And Krishna appeared after many, many, many years, recently, 5,000 years ago, in Dwapar Yuga. So there is a cycle of yugas, four yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. That is one cycle, like that, many, many cycles. And 1,000 such cycles becomes day of Brahma. Similar 1,000 cycles is night of Brahma. And Krishna appeared after many, many such cycles. And generally, Krishna appears once in one day of Brahma. And when Krishna appeared, he appeared exactly same way as it is described in the Brahma Samhita. And Krishna's mention is there in different other Vedic literatures also. Even before Krishna appeared, there is a description of Krishna. So when Krishna appeared also, he appeared exactly in the same manner as it is described in the different literatures, Vedic literatures. So sometimes people may imagine that how is God, how he looks, what he is doing. So they may try to imagine something. So sometimes we see, sometimes God is shown as a very old man, with the white beard, because they think that, as age passes, as the time passes, we all become old. So God is there from the beginning of creation. So by this time he would have become very old. So he may be having a lot of white hair. So sometimes people imagine that God may be very old man, white hair is there. Or sometimes people imagine that God is sitting with some danda. for punishment. Oh, you do good, I'll reward. You do bad, I'll punish. I'm just sitting for that. So we get information from Brahma Samhita that God is not at all bothered about these kind of activities, and he's always enjoying the company of his devotees. So that description we get from Brahma Samhita and other literature. And when Krishna appeared, exactly same thing he exhibited in Vrindavan, that how he is always engaged in different pastimes with his devotees, full of happiness, full of pleasure. And what happens in the spiritual world, Krishna displayed just as a trailer, just as a prototype of those pastimes. And the living entities can get attracted by these pastimes, and also they may develop a desire to go to the abode of Krishna and then follow a process, and by that they can also reach the abode of Krishna. That is the whole purpose of this existence. In the effulgent rays of the spiritual sky, there are innumerable planets floating. The Brahma Jyoti emanates from the supreme abode, Krishna Loka, and the Anandamaya Chinmaya planets, which are not material, float in those rays. The Lord says, Natat bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. One who can approach that spiritual sky is not required to descend again to the material sky. In the material sky, even if we approach the highest planet, Brahmaloka, what to speak of the moon, we will find the same conditions of life, namely birth, death, disease, and old age. No planet in the material universe is free from these four principles of material existence. Therefore, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. The living entities are traveling from one planet to another, not by mechanical arrangement, but by a spiritual process. This is also mentioned. Yanti Devavrata arrangement is necessary if we want interplanetary travel. The Gita instructs Yanti Devavrata Devan. The moon, the sun, the higher planets are called Swargaloka. There are three different statuses of planets, higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The Earth belongs to the middle planetary system. Bhagavad Gita informs us how to travel to the higher planetary systems, Devaloka, with a very simple formula, Yanti Devavrata Devan. One need only worship the particular demigod of that particular planet, and in that way go to the moon, the sun, or any of the higher planetary systems. So here there is a description of other planetary systems and how one can go there, and how the spiritual sky is different from all the planets within this material universe. So this material universe is like Brahmanda, it is like one anda, egg shaped, and within that there are many planets are there, and we are living in one of such planet. Suddenly we have appeared here few years ago, and we see that now is earth, the trees are there, plants are there, people are there. So like that many planets are there where inhabitants are there, and the soul how it appeared and took birth in one particular form here in this earth. Similarly, according to our activities, suddenly we may take birth in another planet, maybe in the moon or sun, or there are different living conditions in different places. Vibhuti Bhinnam. Each planet is different. That is described in the Brahma Samhita. Its own atmosphere, its own nature, its own type of bodies. And according to a work what we have done in a particular body, our next body gets decided, and next place also where we take birth. But anywhere we go within this material world, Abrahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravartino Arjuna, anywhere we go, even if we go up to the higher or the highest planet within this universe, that is Brahma Loka, even if you go there also, these problems of birth, disease, old age, and death, they exist. Anywhere you go, again we have to undergo these four miseries of life. And each planet we go according to our reactions of our work, and that punya is reduced. Kshine punya, that is exhausted. Kshine punya vishanti martya lokam. Again we have to take birth on this martya loka, or the earthly planet. But mamupetya kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. But one who comes to me, he never returns. So this spiritual world is beyond this universe. It is outside of this universe. Like this one universe, there are many universes. Ananta Koti Brahmanda, it is said. Unlimited number of Brahmandas are there. And nowadays, scientists are also talking about this. Maybe there are many universes, multi-universes. And beyond all these material universes, there is a spiritual sky. In that spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets which are self-effulgent, and they are all called Vishnu Lokas or Vaikuntha Lokas. Among them, again, there is a topmost planet which is called Krishna Loka, where Krishna lives in his original form. And all other planets, there is a presiding deity, different Vishnu forms, but they are all expansions of Krishna. And those planets, they are all self-effulgent, and anyone goes to those planets, not within this universe, different planets. One who goes to the spiritual planets, he never comes back from that place. But here, anybody who, even if he goes to the higher planets or lower planets, wherever he goes, after his time is over in that place, again he has to die there, and again he has to take birth in another place. So that is the difference between this material world and the spiritual world. That is eternal, and this is temporary. So this is getting created and destroyed again and again, as our bodies are created and destroyed again and again. The whole cosmic manifestation, that is also getting created and destroyed again and again. But this creation is an opportunity for the living entities to understand their original position as eternal servants of Krishna, and uh, engage in Krishna's service by the process of bhakti yoga, and make their life perfect, get self-realized, and develop their love for Krishna, and return back to the spiritual world. This is the whole scheme. This is the whole purpose for which this creation is there. So today we will stop here only. If there are any questions on today's topic, or we can revise what we have understood today. Anybody has got any questions, they may ask. Otherwise, we'll go for the revision. You can unmute and ask if there are any questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I
Yes, ma'am.
had one doubt. Here they have given about three different status of planets, higher, middle, and lower.
Yeah,
So is higher planets considered as spiritual planets, or they also belong to this planets within this universe?
all within this universe only. So higher, lower, and middle, that is categorized based on Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. So tamasic living entities, they are sent to the lower planets. Rajasic, they are in the middle, and sattvic, they go to the higher planets. So all these three gunas, sattva, raja, and tama, they are all material only. Spiritual is beyond these three modes. That is called shuddha sattva, and that is the position of the spiritual world, spiritual planets. So any planet within this material world, even if it is Svargaloka or Janaloka, Tapoloka, so like that, 7 upper and 7 lower are there. So overall 14 planetary systems are there, but they are all material planets only. They are not spiritual.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank
In,
you.
In Bhagavad Gita,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
describes Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastha. So those who are situated in the mode of goodness, they go to the higher planets within this material world. They are also material, but they are in the Sattva Guna. Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastha, Madhye Tishtanti Rajasa. So those who are primarily in the mode of Rajoguna, they remain in the middle planetary systems. And Jaganya Guna Vrittisto Adho Gachanti Tamasa. So those who are in Tamoguna, they go to the lower planetary systems.
Okay,
Okay.
Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can somebody tell me what is Sanatana Dharma? What we understood today? You can unmute and you can speak.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
So, Sanatana, what we understood today is something which is eternal. It is different from what we understand from religion, the English
Yes.
word religion. It is different from that. And it is something which is eternal duty. Like for us, we observe like everybody has a service attitude, like everybody is serving one way or other to some family member or some superior. And Chaitanya Charitamrita says like the eternal duty of living entity is to serve Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. So Sanatana Dharma is rendering of service. Originally, it is to Krishna. But in the material world, so the same tendency is exhibited in service to so many living entities. Okay.
Also, Prabhu, for Muslim and Christian other religions there is an stat, and
Yes. Yes.
whereas
Yes.
for Sanatana,
Sanatana Dharma.
yeah, there is
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. It has no beginning and no end.
and yeah. So that is the main point I thought, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
What? Hare Krishna. So what else was there? Mm, okay. About demigod worship, devata worship. Why do people worship different devatas? What Krishna says in Bhagavad
Hare
Gita
Krishna.
about it? Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Krishna actually he discourages demigod worship because people who worship demigods, they worship with the selfish motive of satisfying their desires, personal desires. But what Krishna is full of happiness and reservoir pleasure. If we worship Krishna, then all our desires will be fulfilled. Because the demigods are given certain powers by Krishna himself, so that the demigods can fulfill the desires of people who worship them.
Okay, one may say, what is wrong? I have got desires, I'm getting that fulfilled, so I will worship this devatas. What is wrong? Whatever
But
desires I have
actually,
got, yeah.
yeah, but it is going to be temporary because
Yes.
the powers, it is temporary. It is not going to
Yes.
be permanent.
Yeah. So
But
whatever,
when we worship Krishna with the attitude of service attitude, then automatically Krishna knows what our desires are. He'll fulfill all our desires without asking him.
yes. So
Hare
the what
Krishna
result?
Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna.
In Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned it is avidhi purvak. So
Avidipurvakam,
yeah,
yes.
so that is not actually I was not in the class, Prabhuji. I just
Okay.
came here, but I remember from what I heard from different Prabhujis earlier.
Yes.
So yeah.
Less
Yeah.
eating.
Yes. So Prabhupada also gives example, no, that ultimately food has to go to stomach. So the right way to put food to the stomach is we have to put it in the mouth, then it goes to the stomach. But when someone is deceased, sometimes they'll make a hole here and through that they will send some liquids and all. So that is not a natural way of eating. So natural way of rendering service is to Krishna. So all these different devatas and all, if we worship them, that is a avidhi purvakam. They are not properly um, offering their whatever devotion is there. Ultimately, it goes to Krishna only because the demigod cannot reward anything. He also cannot take anything on his own. But it is done avidhi purvakam. And the result obtained by them is also temporary, as said by Mataji. And we may get entangled because our whole purpose of life, human form of life, is to go back to the spiritual world. If you are diverted by all these temporary desires and fulfillment of that, then we may lose this opportunity of human form of life. Meanwhile, if we commit some sinful activities and all, we may be again born into lower species. And how many years it may take again to come back to the human form of life. So that's why we should not waste our time in going after temporary material things. And also, Bhagavatam describes that whatever we have earned in our previous life, we get automatically, according to our karma, happiness and distress will come on its own. We don't have to run behind it. So our main energy should be focused on purifying ourselves and developing our love for Krishna so that we make one permanent solution for this problem of this material existence, birth, death, old age, and disease, and go back to the spiritual world. That's why demigod worship is discouraged by Krishna. Okay, why Krishna comes to this material world?
Can I tell Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Because everybody speculates the Lord in their own ways. And
Yes,
in order to show the people, show the living entity his original form, he comes in different
yes,
avatars.
To
yes,
establish dharma also, Prabhu.
yes. That is
Uh,
also true.
yeah.
Here something Prabhupada has told specifically.
Like yeah, like the salt example you had given, Prabhu. Whichever powder is looking white color, it cannot be a salt. Salt has its own taste, and
Yeah.
same way the dharma as well.
Yeah, but why Krishna appears in this material world? What is the reason Krishna comes?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, to attract means all the conditioned souls, Prabhuji, and
How he
also to
attracts? How he attracts?
by uh, by all the pastimes and
Yeah.
means the qualities he exhibits.
Yes. Mainly Krishna displays his Vrindavan pastimes and how he lives with his devotees in Vrindavan, and to attract the living entities by his showing his original form and original activities. So here Prabhupada says the Lord descends into the material world to show his pastimes in Vrindavan, which are full of happiness. Okay. Okay, about spiritual world. Can somebody explain? How is the spiritual world? What we heard today?
न तद्भासतो सूर्यो न शशांको न पावक यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धामं परमं मम. So
Yes.
Krishna was explaining about his eternal abode, where there is no need of sun or moon. Like it is automatically, it has light. Self-eliminated. Yeah, self-eliminated.
Self-effulgent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once we go there, we never come back to this
Yes.
material planet.
Okay. So these are some of the things which we learned from today's class from Bhagavad Gita introduction. I think few more pages are there in the introduction, probably 1 or 2 classes. So this introduction is very important. So this is like the summary of what is there in Bhagavad Gita. If we understand it, we get a whole picture. What is there in the Bhagavad Gita, then we can go detailed way, shloka by shloka, understanding teachings of Krishna and how we can apply in our lives. So we'll stop our class here today. Thank you all for joining. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
This class was very
Thank you
good,
so
Prabhu.
much.
It was
Hare Krishna.
very. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
This revision helps us to have more understanding.
Yes, so that gets more internalized when we revise and
Yes.
question answers.
Yes, when we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Thank
also
you.
how
Thank
much
you.
we have
Hare
understood.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.